I appreciate everybody's time today. I know everyone's busy. Essentially, looking at Real Insight and what you guys are seeing on the screen, Real Insight is a web-based asset management technology. What that is it's a technology that allows you to basically understand your entire exposure of your portfolio from start to finish. And over the years, we've been improving and updating the platform and creating a means of moving through the platform, a workflow, and a way to understand always what is my exposure to various things. Right now, with everything that's going on in the market, with hotels, with retails, it's very important to always keep track of your portfolio. Right now, the way data gets into Real Insight is we provide information through in-text. That could be, TREP data, in-text data, any type of CMBS information, or putting in your information through Excel. So as you view this platform, you'll start to see a lot of, balance sheet data, construction data, transition loan data, bridge data, all in one platform. And what we're trying to do here is centralize all your information in one place, so you always have the idea of what's going on. And when we break Real Insight into a couple different pieces as you flow through this, we could look at this as, what do I care about? What do I need to do? And what do I need to see? So when we talk about what do I care about, that would be this dashboard area in Real Insight. So as you're looking through this, you can see that we're showing you a distribution or a stratification of various different things. So that can be stratifications of debt service. That could be stratifications of your property distribution throughout your portfolio. It can even be an overview of where you are with your consent process, because that is an important part of the loan process. And as all of this information goes into Real Insight through updates from, let's say an in-text or API feed, or updates from asset managers updating the information in the platform, all of this information shuffles around, updates, so that you always know what is my portfolio doing at any time. So we really look at this as the most important part, really, from a landing perspective, that you log in, you see what you care about, and you have the ability to always understand any strat that you ever wanted to see. For example, my distribution or my stratification of tenants, top tenants. For example, you can see here, AutoNation, there's 5 of them, and then you can jump right into it and see that list, and get to that information and export it into a nice list, a nice report, or Excel. Now, what's nice about Real Insight is everything that you're viewing is all customizable. So right here, these are just some canned reports. If I want to add other reports, and this is pretty cool, I have the ability to add other types of dashboards, create new dashboards. We're just trying to give you an understanding that this is fully customizable, and you always have the ability to strat your data. Now, in terms of editing your information, entering information into the system as you're using it, this is a brand new part of the platform. And for those of you who are very used to doing everything in Excel, the thought is that Excel is very easy to move around, to manipulate, to change information, to run various different formulas. So you have all of this data in Real Insight. What do you do? How do you use it? So this is the second part of what do I care about. You have the ability to see any type of list throughout the platform. So for example, here is throughout my portfolio, this canned portfolio that we set up, here is every single loan that we are looking at in our portfolio. And what you can do here, and this is what's nice, is we've set up this workflow where the asset manager logs in and sees exactly what they care about. So you have a list of loans, it tells you what the deal is in terms of what deal it's in, and then you have all your statuses, and you could change all this information as the asset manager, as the portfolio manager, so that you could say, all right, now I'm editing this information because I know that something changed. So you don't have to go searching around Real Insight. There's a tremendous amount of loan data, property data, deal data, portfolio data, this is the path of least resistance, where if you're used to using Excel, you can get right into RealInsight, change information around. And this is just one example of the list. You could essentially say, I want to see all of my maturing loans, and then get to change that underlying information any way you like. Okay. Now, what we talk about with regard to an asset management platform, and this is pretty helpful, is the ability to not just edit information, see information in these various different strats, but it's also the ability to structure it properly as it goes into the platform. And that's important when somebody is managing properties, managing loans. You have to be able to structure it properly and structure the capital stack. So that's something we'll look at. So I'm going to go into one of these. Just going to jump right in. And you can see you have all this underlying loan information, but how we structure all the information at the portfolio level, at the deal level, at the loan level, at the property level, that's what makes RealInsight an asset management technology. Is you structure the information properly as it goes in, and then it allows you to always understand what is going on at each of these levels, what data is being bucketed at each of these levels, and then report. Okay, so if I wanted to create a portfolio report, if I wanted to create a deal level report, now the deal is the debt and equity. I don't want to get too deep, but I just want to show, because it's important, is we actually show you the capital stack. So that's all layered out, and I'll touch on that again. So what we're showing here is RealInsight. Once your data goes into the system, once we input your data into the system, once we manipulate it, once you look at various different strats, once you pull up your lists of all the things that you care about and edit those very easily, you have the ability then to move to the next part, which is, what do I need to focus on today? And when you think about this, that's in RealInsight, we have the ability, give you the ability to set up, or we set up various different alerts, events, messages, and these are action plans, or these are steps that basically trigger and tell you, as information comes into the system, as you update information in the system, what is occurring that I need to focus on right now. So you're managing by exception. So what that means with regard to managing by exception is, I log in, and now everything populated in terms of a covenant failed, debt service dropped, a lease expired, a major lease expired, and then you can get right to that information. So as portfolios grow, as more loans potentially, go to a watch list, or more loans end up in special servicing, if you're on the CMBS side, or if more loans end up defaulting, this is a really important part in terms of always understanding, what do I need to focus on today? Because these asset management groups are only expanding, and this is a very important part of the platform. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Now, if you look at this right here, we're showing loan covenant failed. It's based off of debt service trigger failing. So within the loan documents, debt service dropped. So you have the ability to then just quickly jump into that, look at that information, and then quickly do your analysis, do a financial benchmarking, and say, how is this loan performing at underwriting and going forward? Okay, so what's nice here is we're kind of moving it through this process. The second part that I want to show when we're thinking about RealInsight is, what milestones, what dates, what events do we want to keep track of? So it's nice to also be alerted of what just happened, but this is more forward-looking, forward-thinking, right? So here, what we're looking at as it relates to RealInsight is, what dates are coming up. So for example, you can see that, it's letting you know about a loan that's maturing, a covenant evaluation that's due, and you could even see this on a calendar. So now we're starting to see, April 1st, April 20th, April 24th, April 30th. What are the various important dates that I need to keep track of and I need to stay ahead of? And this is an extremely important part of staying ahead of, a large portfolio of loans and properties. The next thing I want to show, and again, RealInsight has so much functionality, so much data, so much areas to put information that it's good to be able to kind of break it up into these pieces, right? The dashboard, the workbench, the messages, the alerts, the events. The next part I want to show is the powerful search functionality within the platform. And what we think about when we talk about the search functionality within the platform is if I log in and I want to find something, if I want to find all my documents, if I want to find all the comments that were posted, if I want to find all of the information that pertain to a specific property, I have the ability to do that. And I'll show you that really quickly. We break this out in terms of filtering for anything you'd like to see. So for example, if I wanted to see 300 Capitol Mall, I'm just going to type that in. I'm going to search for it. And what you're going to see is that everything comes up relating to 300 Capitol Mall. So I'm just going to jump right into it like we did before. Now, as information goes into the system, now you can see all the data is filled out. You have notes, all this information, was populated either coming in from wherever your loan documents are stored or your payment history is stored. Could be in like a loan servicing system. Essentially, if I look at this information, I have all of this loan level, property level, deal level for this 300 Capitol Mall. And it's very important to be able to report internally and externally in terms of what is the full view. Now, this could be a monthly report. This can be a quarterly report. In asset management, it's very common to do an ASR or QAR, as everybody knows. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to show very quickly how within RealInsight, we have this ability, it's called Models and Forms, to run a report and pull all the information into an Excel template that's been customized with formulas, functions, assumptions. Essentially, this is just a canned report. You can create any report in RealInsight. You can basically take all the work in Excel and you could now use those reports and have them be push button in the platform. The reporting process is a big value proposition in terms of how RealInsight could be helpful, as you're growing your portfolio and continuing to surveil your portfolio. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit our ideal summary. I'm just picking one. I'm going to hit generate. And what's nice is everything comes out in Excel. So the theme here, and we talked about it with the workbench, is everybody's used to Excel. We're trying to show you what it's like to use almost controlled Excel with standardization of reporting, with accuracy of data. So what we did is we just generated, based off of all the information at that structure we talked about a little bit before, the deal, the loan, the property, all that information that's bucketed in RealInsight, it now populates and we're showing you the deal overview for 300 Capitol. Notes that came potentially from the asset manager were input or came in, let's say, through some other data source. So all this information is being populated, is being shown, and what can normally take a very long time populates in a nice report. Here's a collateral summary report for 300 Capitol, giving you all the information that normally takes a long time in Excel. So I think the theme there, once you search for what you want, once you get to exactly what you want to find, which it's very easy to kind of navigate around RealInsight and find, everything that pertains to what you're looking for, you do have the ability, and you could do this anywhere within RealInsight, you have the ability to report on all of this data, but report in a custom fashion and use a lot of, the reports that we have that are canned in RealInsight, which is nice. Another thing I want to show really quickly is, and this, I don't want to dig too deep into this, but this comes up a lot in asset management, is the ability to manage information from a construction perspective. So construction loan asset management is very difficult. It's very time consuming. I'm going to choose a loan that I know relates to construction loan asset management. I'm just going to go into this loan called Wynwood. And I don't want to get too granular, but I just want to show everybody that part of RealINSIGHT, and this could be a follow-up, is our ability to handle construction loan processes, draws, future funding, disbursement schedules, right? So what we're looking at here with Wynwood Edge, what you're seeing on the screen is a draw overview, a draw schedule, very detailed information that can be reported on in RealINSIGHT, bucketed, and then you have the ability to run all of this in the platform. So I just wanted to touch on that really quickly, that there is a number of different debt structures. You know, we obviously know that we can handle CMBS through pulling information through Intex. We talk a little bit about balance sheet information. I'm also showing a little bit that, you know, construction loan asset management, this is a big addition to the platform that we're very excited about. The last thing I want to show is geographical exposure and understanding always, let's say, what is my exposure geographically on a map to any market, but then also specific events that are occurring. And what I mean by specific events that are occurring is RealINSIGHT is attached to FEMA. We have an API, a live feed coming in from FEMA. So if you wanted to understand how your portfolio is affected by a hurricane, by an earthquake, just do overall understanding of comps versus your loans, you have the ability to do that. So I'm just going to type in Los Angeles. I'm going to search. And we very quickly now pulled up your exposure to Los Angeles. Now, what you're looking at on the screen, the different colors is RealINSIGHT, as we talked about, is a great platform to centralize information. Not only do you have the ability to look at your own information, your own loans, your own properties, but you also have the ability to layer in sales comps, lease comps, market data that came from, you know, Reese or RCA or CoStar. All of that information is all populated in, you know, can be populated in the platform. Now, we don't put the lease comp data in there or the sales comp data in there, but if you want to take CoStar data, if you want to take Reese data, if you want to take RCA data, and you want to layer that in and take a look at it, you have the ability to do that. Now, we talked a little bit about FEMA. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, if I click this area right here, I'm going to click biological, and what it's going to do is it's going to pull whatever the current update is, and it's COVID. So I'm just going to do California. Now it's the entire state, as we know, but I just want to show how it kind of now it covers and layers out where your exposure is within your portfolio and then populates it. And further, and I'll show another one because this is showing the whole state, but this is live and it's kind of giving you, you know, what is my exposure, my portfolio. Now, if I wanted to be a little bit more specific and I only wanted to see my stuff and take out the comps, or I only wanted to see, because this is, you know, very current, lodging, hotels, I have the ability to now understand within my portfolio in California, what's my exposure to lodging, to hotels. I'm just going to do one more of these, and this is always one people ask about is, you know, for those in Miami, you know, from a portfolio management perspective, a big fear, and this is something that comes up obviously a lot, you know, on the CMBS side, on the, you know, what is my portfolio that I've invested and what's my exposure that relates to like a hurricane in Miami. So I just type Miami, that populates. I'm just going to hit hurricane. I'm going to click Dorian. Now, what's nice about this is that there's always different various updates to all of these kind of FEMA kind of, I guess you can call disaster areas. So you could actually quickly track to see which is the path. So you're seeing here that this is the path of Dorian. I'm going to map it out. And you could now see that Hurricane Dorian, this is the path based off of what FEMA is reporting on. And these are the loans, these are the comps, this is what's in the path of that. And then you have the ability to drill further and get to that underlying information.
Hey, Dan, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in terms of the data that we've been seeing, would this be loaded with, the client's data? So would we have to load in all of our own transaction data and things like that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So the thought here is that any information that you have, that the client has, we go through a process, and we talked about this a little bit, to take your information, structure it properly, and enter it into RealINSIGHT. So it would be your information. Now, if it's publicly available data, we're able to get that information from a publicly available database such as Intex, where CREF CIRP is reporting on a regular basis. So CMBS information, you just populate it that way because it's available. It's just an API where we connect to that data source. That's something we do as a pass-through. But in this case, this would be a routine where we would look at your information, understand what format it's in. Is it in Excel? Is it in PDF? Do you work with a loan servicer who has a technology where all of the balances and payment history is being updated on a normal basis? We actually go through routines and standardize your data where normally it's very difficult to standardize. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's helpful. So then just the one piece I'm still wondering about is, I know you mentioned we could layer in CoStar data or Reese data or data from other sources. Does RealINSIGHT come with any data out of the box or no?
Right now, the data is your data. We are always looking for creative ways to partner. We are always looking for ways to assist you in terms of integrating data through a template we might build with you or build for you, or an API that we might connect to an area where you have information. But the thought here is everyone's selling data these days. There's publicly available data, there's Reese data, it's great. There's all this market data everywhere. What we're doing is we're making sense of your data, and we're taking all the things that are extremely important from an asset management and portfolio management perspective, and we're providing you the workflow, the standardization, the accuracy, the automation, and the routines that are normally missing or are not normally there in public, or I should say in private loans.
Got it. That's helpful. Thank you.
Both debt and equity. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And Dan, quick question.
Sure.
So, if we have underwritten a CMBS deal and have, our own internal underwriting in an Excel model, one for every loan, that gets loaded into the system. Would that all then be housed on? So, when we click into that loan for that deal, it would integrate all the updated ongoing TREP information like payment status and financials and new tenant lease expirations. And
that's exactly right.
The original underwriting data. Okay.
That's exactly right. And I just want to really quickly show you an example.
Sorry,
go ahead.
One last
go ahead.
Quick.
Yep.
So, and then from an asset management perspective, the servicer could post documents like lease consents and all that stuff, and then we could go and grab it.
That's exactly right.
Okay. And then, sorry,
No, go
all
ahead.
of the
I love it.
all of the data is enterprise wide, so we only have to do it once for one enterprise.
So,
So like everybody in my
help me with that.
organization
Help me with that.
So everyone in my organization with an email handle at my company's domain would have the same access and same data set. Because like on Trep, I make a portfolio of my QSIPs, and then I have to go share it with everyone else. So like if I log in and I click on like portfolio strats and someone else hasn't updated theirs as recently as mine, we would get different answers.
Got it.
So
in this case, yeah, it depends on how you set up your we set up and you set up this RealINSIGHT. There's essentially something called you have administration, you have user groups. Essentially what we do is set up rules in terms of, do you want to have your own dashboards? Do you want to have your own alerts? Do you want to have your own data sets? Do you want to share it so everybody sees the same thing? It's up to how you want to set it. So you can be extremely customized, or you could say everyone sees the same thing.
Got it. And
so it's completely up to you.
Everyone has the same data, but is able to customize their view and alerts and all that stuff. So as long as make sure we're looking at the same set of data, even if we prefer to see it otherwise, so you can kind of go anywhere in the middle.
That's exactly right.
Got it.
That's exactly right. And again, I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, or we are doing here, is RealINSIGHT is cloud-based, and everything, every document, every comment, every report, every model that's been created, versions of models are all stored, and then you have various different abilities to add, subtract, have various different standardization throughout your company. But then you could say, I want my dashboards, I want my alerts, I want the things that matter to me. So you have that ability to be very broad in what's shared and then be very customized. But there's also a level of security though. But there's also a level of security. So somebody can't then go and what you don't want, and this is where Excel becomes a problem, is you don't have that. If you try to have something that's a shared view for everybody, what you get is, a mess, right? Someone may change your work, and that's what you're trying to avoid. But go ahead. I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, and then I was going to say, from an analytic perspective, does it then go into Trep or Intex? Like if I have lost conclusions from an underwriting, are they either exportable into like a Trep format?
So it's exportable into Excel, but if there's a template, if there's a template that you wanted to kind of mimic after something that you had in Trep or Intex, we would be able to, or you would be able to actually mimic that. What goes back into another system is really more, that's your call, and that's what they allow or don't allow.
Okay, got it.
Right, but there is, no, absolutely. And I love the questions, but there is a level of integration and kind of, we want RealINSIGHT to be the path into everything and the one truth. So if you want to be able to, do your work in another platform, you can do that. But we think that the centralization is nice in RealINSIGHT. And I just wanted to talk about, and you started to, I don't want to get too specific, but I just pulled up an underwriting model. We do create these very, very customized models and have the ability to allow you to customize them further that you can use in the platform. So we were talking about 300 Capital Mall previously. This is actually a model, an underwriting model that is pulling all of the information, everything layered, so that it's linked, and then you're just generating any type of formula. So this is how you'd specifically be able to underwrite in RealINSIGHT, and I just wanted to show you that.
That's great.
Yeah. And again, like if anyone has any, because I know everybody's busy, if anybody has any questions, I'll make as much time as you like. If somebody wants to follow up with an email, again, this is really just wanted to make this informative, kind of current to the times and what's going on. But we also feel very excited about some of the additions to the platform that we've done over the last couple months. And if you haven't seen it in a couple years, I hope you're impressed. But when you look at what we've added on the construction side, when you look at some of the integrations we've done for clients and some of the custom reports that we have allowed them to create and we've created for them, what we're really trying to do here is say, this is a platform that has been created and is, has been used over time, but we want you to customize RealINSIGHT. We don't want you to feel like you have to customize your business to us. And especially in a time like this where portfolio management and asset management is so important, I just wanted to show and get in front of everybody and say, here are some interesting things we're working on, and start a conversation if something comes from it. But I appreciate everyone's time. Any other questions I can help with before we break? Okay, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Have a really good weekend.
Thank you, Dan.
And stay safe, everybody. Thank you. Yep, thanks.